Picture this, the 1960s, when Mercedes introduced the ultra-exclusive 600 Grosser, a car so powerful and luxurious that it became the ride of choice for kings, presidents, and celebrities worldwide. Move into the mid-1970s, and Mercedes raised the bar again with the mighty 450 SEL 6.9, often called the S-Class on steroids, blending limousine comfort with muscle car performance. Then, in the 1990s, the spotlight shifted to the track as Mercedes unveiled the 190e Evolution 2, a touring car legend that redefined what a compact sedan could achieve. These three icons aren't just classic cars, they are milestones in Mercedes history, each rewriting the rulebook of luxury, innovation, and performance in its own era. Mercedes-Benz 600 Grosser W100, 1963 to 1981. The 1960s were a golden era for luxury cars, but even among the finest brands, one car stood head and shoulders above the rest. The Mercedes-Benz 600 Grosser, produced from 1963 to 1981, this was not just a car, it was a rolling symbol of wealth, power, and prestige. When you saw a Grosser on the road, you instantly knew it belonged to someone important. Mercedes designed the 600 with a single mission: to create the most advanced and luxurious automobile in the world. And they succeeded. At nearly 21 feet long in its Pullman limousine version, the 600 wasn't just large. It was imposing. Its bold chrome grille, clean lines, and sheer size gave it a presence that no other car could match. Wherever it went, the Grosser demanded respect. But the real magic was under the skin. Powering the 600 was an enormous 6.3-liter V8 engine, producing around 250 horsepower and an impressive 500 Newton-meters of torque. For such a massive vehicle, this engine was a masterpiece, smooth, powerful, and capable of propelling the heavy limousine to speeds over 200 kilometers per hour, 124 miles per hour. It wasn't just fast for its size, it was one of the most advanced powertrains of its time. Yet what truly made the Grosser legendary was its complex hydraulic system. This high-pressure system operated everything from the windows, seats and sunroof, to the doors and even the trunk lid. There were no electric motors. Instead, everything moved with an almost silent, effortless glide thanks to hydraulics. This level of innovation was decades ahead of its time and gave passengers an unmatched sense of refinement. Inside, the Grosser was pure luxury. Thick leather upholstery, exotic wood trim, deep carpets, and the finest craftsmanship created an atmosphere more like a private lounge than a car. In the long wheelbase Pullman version, you could even get conference-style seating, folding tables, and partitions for privacy. Many were customized to the exact desires of their wealthy and powerful owners, making each car truly unique. And speaking of owners, the list of Grosser clients reads like a who's who of 20th century power. The 600 was favored by royalty, heads of state, and celebrities alike. From the Pope to African kings, from John Lennon to Elvis Presley, and from dictators like Idi Amin to film stars, the Grosser was the ultimate status symbol. It wasn't just transportation, it was a moving palace that told the world, "I have arrived." Despite its incredible luxury, the 600 was still a true Mercedes-Benz at heart, engineered with precision and durability. The ride quality was unmatched thanks to air suspension, giving passengers the smoothest possible experience even on rough roads. The steering and braking systems were over-engineered to handle the weight, ensuring the massive car was surprisingly easy to control. Of course, all this came at a cost. The Grosser was one of the most expensive cars of its time, costing more than a Rolls-Royce in many markets. Maintenance was also a challenge, especially with the complex hydraulic system, which required specialized knowledge. But those who could afford it weren't worried about running costs. They wanted the very best, and the Mercedes-Benz 600 was exactly that. Even today, the Grosser holds a legendary status. Collectors and enthusiasts regard it as one of the finest luxury cars ever built. Its combination of imposing design, advanced engineering, and historical significance make it a true classic. Restored examples command very high prices at auctions, and its mystique continues to fascinate car lovers around the world. In many ways, the Grosser was more than just a car. It was a statement of Mercedes-Benz's engineering dominance. It showed the world that when Mercedes set out to build the best car, they would spare no expense and compromise on nothing. The 600 was extravagant, innovative, and unforgettable, a timeless reminder of an era when luxury meant absolute excess and engineering brilliance. The Mercedes-Benz 600 Grosser wasn't just for getting from one place to another. It was about making an entrance, about surrounding yourself with unmatched comfort and technology, and about showing the world that you were at the very top. To this day, no car has quite matched its aura of power and prestige. Mercedes-Benz 450 SEL 6.9, W116, 1975 to 1981. The mid-1970s was a bold era for Mercedes-Benz. The world was facing oil crises, governments were tightening regulations, and luxury car makers were being forced to scale back. But Mercedes chose a different path. Instead of downsizing or compromising, they introduced one of the most powerful and audacious sedans the world had ever seen. The Mercedes-Benz 450 SEL 6.9. At first glance, the W116 body looked elegant, restrained, and dignified, like any other Mercedes luxury sedan of the time. But under the hood, it carried a secret weapon, a massive 6.9-liter V8 engine, hand-built and capable of producing around 286 horsepower and an incredible 550 newton-meters of torque. For the mid-70s, those numbers were staggering, especially for a four-door executive sedan. In fact, this made the 450S EL 6.9 one of the fastest production sedans in the world. What really set it apart, however, was not just raw power. The 6.9 introduced an advanced hydro-pneumatic self-leveling suspension system inspired by Citroën, but heavily re-engineered by Mercedes. This system gave the car a unique dual personality. It could glide over bumps with the comfort of a limousine, yet it could also hug the corners with the poise of a sports car. It was this balance of comfort and control that made the 450S EL 6.9 truly revolutionary. Inside the cabin, the car was everything you'd expect from Mercedes-Benz in its golden era of engineering. Plush leather seats, thick carpets, real wood veneers, and a dashboard filled with precision instruments gave the driver a sense of authority. The long wheelbase provided generous rear legroom, and this was a car that was just as comfortable being chauffeur-driven as it was being taken on the Autobahn at high speeds. Performance figures were equally impressive. The 450S EL 6.9 could sprint from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour, 0 to 62 miles per hour, in just around 7.4 seconds, numbers that rivaled sports cars of the day. Its top speed exceeded 225 kilometers per hour, 140 miles per hour, which was extraordinary for such a large, heavy sedan. To put that into perspective, many high-end sports cars of the era couldn't match those figures, let alone a four-door luxury car with seating for five. The 6.9 wasn't just a car for Mercedes enthusiasts. It was a statement of engineering dominance. It quickly became the choice of celebrities, high-profile executives, and even politicians who wanted a vehicle that combined prestige with performance. Owners included the likes of Frank Sinatra and celebrities across Europe and America. In fact, the car gained extra fame through cinema. It appeared in films like Ronin, where its speed and handling were showcased in thrilling chase scenes, proving that the 6.9 was not only luxurious, but also a machine built for adrenaline. Of course, owning a 450S EL 6.9 came with its challenges. This was not a car for the faint of heart or the light of wallet. It was expensive when new, more than double the cost of many other luxury sedans, and its massive V8 consumed fuel at alarming rates. Maintenance of the hydro-pneumatic suspension system also required specialized knowledge and could be costly. But to those who could afford it, none of that mattered. The prestige, performance, and engineering brilliance far outweighed the drawbacks. Looking back today, the 450S EL 6.9 is often remembered as one of the last truly over-engineered Mercedes models built without compromise. It represented an era when Mercedes-Benz prioritized engineering excellence above everything else, even in the face of rising oil prices and stricter regulations. It wasn't just about getting from point A to B, it was about doing it with authority, comfort, and a sense of dominance that very few cars could match. Collectors today see the 450S EL 6.9 as a true classic. Its rarity, advanced technology, and status as the flagship of its time make it highly desirable. Well-maintained examples are climbing in value, and car enthusiasts recognize it as one of the most important Mercedes sedans ever built. Ultimately, the Mercedes-Benz 450 SEL 6.9 wasn't just another luxury car. It was a bold statement that even in difficult times, Mercedes-Benz would continue to build cars that push the limits of performance and luxury. It was the S-Class on steroids, a limousine with the heart of a sports car, and a timeless reminder of what happens when engineering passion meets fearless ambition. Mercedes-Benz 190E 2.5 to 16, Evolution 2, W201 1990. The early 1990s were a fascinating time in the automotive world. Performance sedans were starting to become serious machines, and motorsport was the ultimate testing ground. Out of this era came one of Mercedes-Benz's most iconic creations, the 190E 2.516 Evolution 2, introduced in 1990. To this day, it stands as one of the most aggressive, rare, and legendary Mercedes models ever built. At its core, the Evo 2 was based on the humble Mercedes-Benz 190E, a compact executive sedan first launched in the 1980s. But the version we're talking about was no ordinary car. Mercedes had a mission: to dominate the German Touring Car Championship, DTM. And for that, they needed something special. That's where the Evolution series came in. The first version, the 190E 2.3-16, already had pedigree. Developed with input from British engineering company Cosworth, it had a strong 16-valve engine and became famous for its durability. But Mercedes didn't stop there. They needed a machine that could take on BMW's M3 head-to-head on the racetrack. Enter the 190E 2.5 to 16 Evolution 2, a homologation special that redefined what a compact Mercedes could be. Visually, the Evo 2 was outrageous for its time. It wore a massive aerodynamic body kit that made it instantly recognizable. The flared fenders, deep front bumper, side skirts, and most famously, the gigantic adjustable rear wing weren't just for show. Every piece had been designed in a wind tunnel to improve aerodynamics and give the car maximum downforce on the track. Parked next to a regular 190E, the Evo 2 looked like a race car for the road, because essentially, that's exactly what it was. Under the hood sat a 2.5-liter, 16-valve four-cylinder engine, also developed with Cosworth's expertise. In road-going form, it produced around 232 horsepower, which may not sound extreme today, but combined with the car's relatively lightweight and razor-sharp handling, it was a thrilling machine to drive. The real magic, however, was in the racing versions, which pushed the output far higher and helped Mercedes dominate DTM in the early 90s. The Evo 2 also came with a Getrag 5-speed manual gearbox, specially tuned suspension, and larger brakes. Mercedes engineers fine-tuned every detail to make sure it could hold its own against BMW's legendary M3. And the result was spectacular. The Evo 2 was fast, precise, and balanced, giving drivers a taste of true motorsport on the road. Inside, the Evo 2 still carried Mercedes' reputation for quality, but with a sporty edge. Supportive Recaro seats, unique trim details, and special badging reminded you that this was no ordinary 190E. Despite its aggressive exterior, it still offered the comfort and durability Mercedes owners expected. That balance between race-bred performance and everyday usability is what made the car so special. Production numbers were extremely limited. Mercedes only built 502 examples of the Evolution 2, making it an instant collector's item. Each car was sold at a high price, and they were offered only to select customers. At the time, some thought it was too extreme for a Mercedes sedan. But looking back today, that boldness is exactly what makes it legendary. On the racetrack, the Evo 2 proved its worth. With skilled drivers behind the wheel, Mercedes secured championship victories and showed the world that they could out-engineer the competition. It wasn't just about speed, it was about precision, reliability, and innovation. The Evo 2 became a symbol of Mercedes' motorsport dominance in the touring car world. Today, the 190e Evo 2 is one of the most sought-after classic Mercedes models. At auctions, prices easily reach six figures, with pristine examples selling for over $500,000. Collectors admire its rarity, its motorsport history, and its striking design. More importantly, enthusiasts love it because it represents a time when Mercedes built something wild, something daring, and something unforgettable. The Evo 2 was more than a car. It was a statement. It showed that Mercedes, often known for conservative luxury, could also build one of the most hardcore performance sedans of its era. It was a car born for the track but civilized enough for the road, a perfect blend of German engineering and racing spirit. Even now, more than 30 years later, the Evo 2 continues to inspire. Whether you see it in vintage DTM footage, parked in a collector's garage, or rolling onto a concours lawn, it has an aura that few cars can match. It wasn't just about beating BMW, it was about pushing boundaries. And Mercedes succeeded brilliantly. The 190e 2.5 to 16, Evolution 2 remains one of the ultimate Mercedes legends, a true motorsport icon, and proof that even the most refined automaker can unleash its wild side when the time is right.